Hello people of the world, if you are new here, my name is Brunel. If you are not, then you already know my name. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me. So, Jordan Liberty, if you know who Jordan Liberty is, he's a makeup artist, very talented, has got well known, or you should have heard of him. Just research him and Google him on, on Google. Just Google him and you'll find out he's got some high, well-known, famous customers and so on. So yeah, he's been a bit off the radar for the last couple of years or so, and as it turns out, he was actually very, very unwell and he had to go for chemotherapy and so on, but he's back now, and he's in a good place and is recovering, which is, I'm so pleased for him. So I don't think he'll ever get to see this video, but if he does, then I am so happy for you that you're in a happier place. Oh yeah, and by the way, before we get into the video and so on, if you are interested, he's actually doing a masterclass in London, not next month, I think the month after. Please do check on his website or Instagram page and get more information. But he's doing a masterclass. Unfortunately for me, price wise, it's at my budget at that time, and but if you've got over £100 and under 200 quid to spare and you want to prove your makeup skills, then obviously do check that out. It might be very, very handy. He does lots and lots, and he's got very popular videos with regards to how to apply makeup and so on, so that it's seamless and airbrush and so on, and he gives a lot of really useful information on his YouTube channel as well. The link for this video, I'm not going to bother showing it because it's quite straightforward, but the link for the video itself is going to be in the description bar. Do to get into that and give him some love and support and appreciation, especially if this turns out to work. Now, this is the no more baking video. He gave some tips on how to actually do that so that your makeup is kind of buildable, but smooth, thin layers, and not creating more texture and more makeup and putting on more makeup than you need to, and also how to stay matte and for your makeup to stay in place. Now, I'm an extremely oily person, so I'll always look for something that will keep me matte for as long as possible. I've got extremely oily skin, but that is dehydrated. But yeah, so even in winter time, and this morning here in London, it's been snowing, it's been raining, now there's a bit of sunshine, it's been freezing cold to the point where right now I've got no nipples. I'm kidding. But it is cold. But even though it is cold, when you're extremely oily, it doesn't make any difference. The oils will still come through. Later on, I'm going to be driving, and as soon as you put any hot air anywhere near your face, the oils just break through. So usually around 3-4 hour mark, that's when it come through. So I'm going to test these, and I've done some of these hacks before, powder before foundation and so on, but not in a sequence that he has given in his video. And when he started explaining why that was, I was like, oh, duh, yeah, now it makes sense why you actually do it that way. So that's enough chatting as it is. So the sequence is going to be, keep it nice and simple, it's going to be moisturizer, setting powder, setting spray, and primer last. Without further ado, we're going to get started. So I'm going to start off with moisturizer. Now, because I've got extremely oily skin, but one that's dehydrated, I use a serum. This one is from Beauty Bay's own skin range. This is the Skin Hit Hydrating Serum, which contains hyaluronic acid and glycogen. Yeah, so hopefully you can see that. So if you are interested, so it will hydrate the skin without leaving any kind of oily residue, which is what I want to reduce. The actual liquid is quite clear, and yeah, I'm just going to do that. Choose the right moisturizer for the right skin type for you. If you are obviously dry skin, use the right kind of moisturizer. But yeah, once you've done that, whew, see? And by the way, with his moisturizer, he used the brush, but because I'm using a serum, it just wouldn't work with a brush. But he does prefer to use a brush. Also, I think because he's so used to working on clients, it's just more hygienic to use brushes rather than fingers on your clients. But this is my own skin. I wash my hands beforehand, so I'm not going to be worried about that. But that is an option for you. So next step is going to be setting powder. Now, I've got the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder in medium deep, and that's actually, he was also using the I think it was using that same powder as well. You can use any sort of setting powder you need. According to him, what you want is something that's light, something that's not going to build it, that's not going to be too thick and heavy on your skin. So we're doing small layers here. So that's what we're going for. So it's the light setting powder. So I'm just going to go with a brush and just go over my face lightly, a super thin layer. Obviously, you're going to see this more because it's got color to it, but if it was translucent completely, then you'll be able to see less of it. All right, so powder is in place now. He did say the reason why you would use a powder straight after applying moisturizer is because it will take off any excess shine that you might have, and also form the first barrier before it gets to your makeup. So now we are going for the next step, which is the setting spray. And again, you need to choose the right setting spray for the right kind of skin type that you have. I've got here, he had the Urban Decay. In his video, he used Urban Decay De-Sleek on the model. I've got here the Urban Decay All Nighter Ultra Matte, because of course it has to be ultra matte because I'm extremely oily. So you choose whichever one is best for you. It might be that you need a dewy one, so it's up to you. So I'm just going to spray. Now this ultra matte spray, it isn't without its issues. Even you have to shake it very, very well, and even if you do shake it very well, you need to be very careful. If you're wearing dark clothing, it has a tendency to also leave down that little blotches, not blotches, but white marks as splotches afterwards. So I've made that mistake before and worn something black after, you know, last thing setting it, and it's ruined everything. So be mindful of that. So yes, I'm just going to set my face now. Setting spray is in place. It started to sink into the skin. So now we're going to move on to primer. Now I usually double primer actually, unless I'm doing a foundation test. And the Holy Grail, I've only got a small one here. This is the Becca Evermatte Poreless Priming Perfector. It is a Holy Grail for those of us with extremely oily skin. So I'm just going to, gosh, and he did advise to use a use his fingers. He uses his fingers for primers. That's just his preference. So I'm just gonna use that. And with this one, you really have to rub it in first before you can then apply it onto your skin. Otherwise, it will leave you with white patches in places. So after you've done that, you just press it all over your skin, and I'm pressing this all over my face by concentrating in the center of my face because that's where I get oily first, especially my nose. Things are looking a little bit nutty, and look at that. Ooh, looking like a ghost. Ooh. By the way, another primer, double priming. You don't have to. I'm using the God, the mess. Elf Matte Patty Primer. This is obviously the matte version. They've got a normal version. If you can't get the Elf one, then you can also get Makeup Revolution. I've got one that I did a review on between the two, and I prefer the Makeup Revolution when it came to actually reducing the pores. However, because I'm extremely oily, it's more appropriate for me to use this one. These ones are meant to be dupes for the Tatcha Silk Canvas primer, which is the one that he uses in his video. But I'm using this one, and I'm just literally concentrating that. Or even this is actually too much, way too much. So I'm just reducing that, and I'm just going to tap it here where my pores are really massive, and just passing that into the skin. The two primers are in place now. It's looking a little bit patchy here and everything. I've tried to smooth it out, so I'm hoping that you can't see this. I don't think you will be able to, so you be mindful if you're going to do this. Be careful with be careful with the primer that you're using if it's going to cause stuff like this, because you might have to go for a thicker foundation to make sure it's all covered. I've got the Juvia's Place I Am Magic foundation in the color Malawi, and let me just say, this foundation is the bee's knees. You don't need match at all, and the coverage is just ridiculous. I've got this match on my finger, and this is more than enough to cover my face. Now I'm going to start off by taking small amount, and I'm just going to tap them, most of them on the outer edges of my face. Reason for that is when I apply it, I'm going to start applying my foundation from the outside in, so that most of the product is used on the outside of my face, and I'll use less towards the center of my face. Now I can put a little bit here, and that way hopefully that will help with you know, producing less oil. I'm using this is the Real Techniques foundation blender. It is clean. I've washed it. You might not look it, but it is clean, and I'm just wiping the excess foundation that I've got there. And let me just say, this brush, if you're in a rush for your liquid foundation, it is fantastic. So I'm just gonna start from the outside. Look at that. All right, so foundation is in place. Told you guys, this brush is the bee's knees. It's just, get it. Honestly, it makes applying your foundation so quick, so easy. It's fantastic, and you get that kind of airbrushed finished look. Even for someone like me who's got massive pores around here, it is just brilliant. Well worth buying. You can get it from Superdrug or any places where they sell the Real Technique stuff. Brilliant. So Real Technique foundation brush, and number on it is 213. So that's that one. Now I'm gonna go and finish the rest of my face off camera. I am going to use a powder, which is this one, the Morphe Filter Effect powder in a color shade number 12. It is a super thin. You just tap your brush in, blend everything to make sure everything's all seamless. I always set my face with powder anyway. I'm never gonna change that. So it's not the same as you know, baking. But yeah, and the concealer I'm going to use is a Too Faced concealer, which is not here, in the color Chestnut. And you guys will see the finished look. Time now is 1:16. So 1:16 in the afternoon, and we'll test this out for about 6 hours. See you in a mo. Okie doke, I am done. I'm gonna go and do whatever I need to do throughout the day, and then I'll come back later on around the 5-6 hour mark, and we'll see what my face looks like. Hopefully this Jordan Liberty no more baking trick will work. By the way, it did say either no more baking or it will reduce the amount of time you spend baking, because it will do the work for you. But yeah, okay. We'll see and find out. You'll see me in a few hours. Good evening, people. The time now is, oh, my phone is nearly died, 18:59 to be precise. So I've had this on for 6 hours, and if I was to wait a little bit longer, I think it'll be about 7 hours. So yeah, this is what my face looks like, and as usual, the nose. No, I did warn you guys that the oils will come through. I am extremely oily, and if you are extremely oily, this is no surprise. This shine. However, ring light is in place, and I've got two soft boxes, so they would emphasize the shine on anything. And really, this is not the worst shine I've ever had. It's nowhere near the worst I've ever had. So yeah, I would say that this hack does work, and it will work much more, and you'll be much clearer with it. If you're one of those people who just gets kind of oily around the T-zone area, around just a small section of your face. But for us extremely oily people, we're still going to see the oils coming through. However, this is actually a good technique. What I would be doing probably is do a not so thin layer of powder when I actually apply it, and then press it into my skin with a sponge after I finish doing that. And then, you know, just setting things as I go along, you know, as I apply makeup, and obviously keeping the makeup as light as possible, because if you have makeup that's too thick, too many layers of makeup themselves, then that can cause issues as well. But it's actually a really good hack, and I can see it working. I think it did make a difference. I just need to play about with it and tweak it as an extremely oily person to improve it, but actually it's a good technique to have. And I think it's actually made a difference with regards to my nose. I mean, look at my nose, but the rest of my face, yes, there's shine, but if you're used to watching my videos here, you know I've had a lot worse than this. But yeah, but that's it. Thank you, people. And thank you to Jordan Liberty for actually bringing this through. And I hope that you find today's video useful. I think this hack definitely works. But you just might need to tweak it a bit depending on what kind of skin type you have. If you've got very dry skin, this might not be for you. But it is up to you. You do you. You do you. Okay, people, stay safe, be happy, and well, you know that nothing